bones of the animals that these people hunted. These bones and stones in Africa are usually found in places like this, where it's very dry, it's very hot, there's little vegetation. Invariably, there are many flies, and as a child, I used to hate going out with my parents because I was totally bored most of the day. I remember how I first became really interested. I was about 5 years old, and we were out on a site. It was getting close to midday. My parents said, "Go off and find your own bone. Do something for yourself." Found a little bone, and I started to dig away with a knife. And quite soon I had uncovered a lower jaw of a pig that, when it was alive, was about the size of a modern-day hippo. It was the first time that such a jaw had ever been found. It was also the first time that my parents took an active interest in what I was doing. The first time I was a hero in their eyes. That really was very exciting for me as a child, and ever since then, I continued to have an interest, and now am fully involved in this treasure hunt for our ancestors here in Africa.
Some careers run in families. In 1942, Richard Leakey's parents, Mary and Lewis, began searching for clues to early man here in the Rift Valley in Kenya. Today, archaeologists working under the direction of Richard Leakey are still uncovering clues about early humans. These archaeologists are actually detectives searching for clues that were left behind by our ancestors so we can find out how they lived. I was helping Richard Potts, an American archaeologist from the Smithsonian Institution.
Just brush that dirt off of there a little bit more, Todd, and then you can dig down further, see if you can find anything.
Okay.
There's lots of bones and stones coming out from over here.
Whoa. I think I got something here. It's just a different color, but...
Well, what is that?
Look at that. It looks like a rock that's been shaped. It's got some really sharp edges there.
Yeah, and a real sharp edge right along here.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it came from something like this rock over here. Look at that. Look at the sharp edges on that.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see these scars, these places where other bits of rock have been removed.
Mm-hmm.
These seem to be the tools of early humans. Early humans lived in this area about 700,000 years ago. We know because we find lots of tools like this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how to use metal or cement, build things of brick or anything like that. All they had were stone, which they could knock two pieces together and remove little flakes like this, little chips of stone like that.
Well, how do you know that this was a tool, or this might have been a tool? What clues you in to think, oh, maybe they used this to carve something else, or...
Well, for one thing, there's nothing in nature that makes an edge like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had to be something unusual that did it. But also, not only are there rocks like this, but there are bones around here that also give us clues as to the use of these rocks by early humans. There's this bone here. This has marks on it, and they're marks that were made by stone tools, by sharp stone edges like this one right here. We know that these are cut marks because we can take the bones and we can take the stones back to the museum, and we can look at the marks that are made on this bone under a microscope, and we can tell that they were made by taking a piece of rock like this and dragging it across the bone.
This is what one of the bones looks like close up. Here, you can see cut marks made by stone tools.
And so we think that these are the marks made by butchers, by the early humans that came and cut meat off of these bones. And so that gives us a clue that these are the stone tools of early humans.
Well, Rick, how did you know to dig in this area?
Well, we know that if we look out over the area today, we can see that it's really hot and dry and dusty. But believe it or not, this is a place which is very close to an ancient lake. And early humans came by here and dropped these stones and these bones right by the edge of a lake.
But how did you know that this was a lake here?
Well, we can tell by looking at some of the dirt that we've dug through here. But first, put this piece back so that we know where it came from.
Okay.
You see this white layer over here, Todd?
Mm-hmm.
It goes all the way over like this. Well, this is the sign of an ancient lake. These are the kinds of dirt that's laid down in lakes today. And we know that because this white color is caused by little plants that you can only see under a microscope. And these plants only live in lakes. And so that's why we think that this is an ancient lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then further down here, in the layer that we're digging in, this is the kind of dirt that's only found by the edge of a lake. And so this is the margin of a lake where early humans roamed around and dropped their stones and the bones of animals.
Right.
And this is also a place that is interesting to us because the lake waters right by the edge of the lake are very, very gentle, and they covered over these bones and stones without moving them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know that when we find a stone tool that this is a place where early humans dropped it.
What made you decide to dig right here?
When we first came to this area, we were exploring all around here, and we found up on the surface and down on the surface below pieces of stone artifacts, stone tools, and pieces of bone that were marked just like the one we saw with the cut marks.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought this would be a good place to dig. And so we dug a trench right here. It sure seems like we were lucky. There's lots here, huh?
Really does.
Well, we found more just around the corner, actually. And if you want to go over there and look at the excavation over there, you'll see a really neat dig. I think you'll like it a lot.
Okay.
I'm going to work here some more.
I'm off. Wow. What is this?
Todd, what you are looking
At the next site, I met Simya Windeba, a Kenyan archaeologist. He's found the remains of a 700,000-year-old elephant.
How do you know it's an elephant? Now look at these bones, the size. They're really big and they're generally long, which is a good indication that they belong to an elephant.
Yeah, they're huge, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but besides that, we have real evidence, which is over there. This is the evidence. What you are looking at is the lower jaw of an elephant with the tooth intact.
Which is the tooth?
This whole thing.
This entire thing is a tooth.
Yes, it is.
It's huge.
It is, because an elephant is huge. It probably needs huge teeth, too. But another thing you have to remember is that an elephant has just 4 teeth, one in each side of the jaw. So probably that's the reason why elephant teeth are so huge.
How did this elephant die?
That we don't know. But we know quite a number of things about this elephant. Come over here.
Okay.
These are the things we know about this elephant. First, you can see lots of bone from the same animal, which is a good indication that the animal died here. 2, these bones come from the same level as the site you visited earlier, which means they are 700,000 years old. 3, this is an extinct form of elephant.
Well, how does it compare to the elephants we know today?
This was a much larger animal than the elephants we know today.
I also see some stones here that look like the ones that were at the other site. Were these used as tools also?
Yeah, they were used as tools.
Could it be that the people who used these stones used them to take meat from the elephant?
Maybe, but that we don't know. We have to dig out all these bones, study them, and look for cut marks. And once we get cut marks, then we'll be certain that people used these stone tools to remove meat. Before that, we can't. And therefore, let's go back to work.
Okay. Here, shall I put that back?
Sure.
Searching for clues is hard work. Paintbrushes are useful tools for archaeologists. They're used to brush loose dirt away from an object so its surface is exposed. Hammers and chisels are used to help break apart hard pieces of earth, which may cover up important clues. After the archaeologists have searched an area for all the obvious clues, they look through all the materials again. Dirt is collected and sifted thoroughly. Each stone-like piece is cracked open to look for tiny bones from small animals. Later, the archaeologists take the same stone material, now in much smaller pieces, and sift through it a second time to be absolutely